August 19, 1944. Near Falaise, northern France. Dawn hasn't broken yet, but the smoke already hangs low over the valley like a ceiling pressed down by a giant hand. The last surviving men of Oberfeldwebel Karl Reinhardt's platoon are slogging through a churned-up farm road, their boots sinking almost to the ankle in chocolate-thick mud. The night rain turned the ground into a trap and the retreat into a slow-motion disaster. You can hear it in their breaths, wet, ragged, exhausted. You can almost feel the weight of their equipment pulling them into the earth. Behind them, an Opel Blitz truck groans, half buried, its wheels spinning helplessly, flinging mud in slow arcs. Its engine coughs like a dying animal. Reinhardt keeps glancing back, jaw clenched, knowing the truth no one wants to say aloud. The truck isn't getting out. A distant rumble breaks the morning stillness. Not artillery, not tanks, something smaller, faster. The Germans freeze, mud drips off their boots. Every man listens. Then they appear. Two Willys MB jeeps burst over the ridge, bouncing lightly over terrain the Blitz had sunk into as if swallowed whole. Headlights cut through the mist. Engines snarl. They move with a casual confidence that feels almost taunting, like the land itself favors them. Reinhardt's men don't even lift their rifles. They're too stunned. The jeeps swing around, spraying mud in clean, effortless arcs, and within seconds the Germans are surrounded. American MPs hop out, weapons drawn but relaxed, almost bored. It's over. The capture is quick, efficient, clinical. But the moment that stays with them, the moment that will replay in their minds long after the war, isn't the rifles or the surrender. It's the jeeps. As the Americans load the prisoners into one of the vehicles, the Wehrmacht soldiers stare at the second jeep idling casually beside the immobilized Blitz. Its wheels, thin, unarmored, almost toy-like to German eyes, rest confidently on the same ground that devoured their best transport truck. Reinhardt mutters under his breath, unmöglich. Impossible. One of the MPs, Private Joe Mancini, notices the look and grins. Yeah, he says, tapping the hood of his jeep, she goes anywhere. The Germans don't argue, they just look, really look, at this machine that seems to defy mud, weight, and logic. As they roll away, a grim thought settles across the captured platoon, unspoken but heavy. If America can build vehicles like this by the hundreds of thousands, what else are they hiding behind their factories? And as the jeep carries them deeper into Allied territory, they begin to see things that make the sinking Blitz look like a tiny crack in a much larger wall, one that's about to collapse completely. The jeep jolts forward, suspension flexing as it hops over a rut that would have snapped an axle on the Blitz. The captured Germans grip the side rails, knuckles white, eyes wide, not from fear, but from disbelief. The vehicle shouldn't be able to do this. Not with this speed, not with this ease. The sun rises slowly behind the hedgerows, revealing a landscape carved up by weeks of retreat, abandoned carts, burned tanks, dead horses, stiff and half-buried in mud, a testament to machinery that couldn't keep up with the war. But the American convoy moves like it's on a paved boulevard. Two jeeps lead, a Dodge weapons carrier follows, even a half-track rumbles smoothly behind them. The ground trembles beneath the organized rhythm of engines, each one humming with a confidence the Germans haven't heard since the early days of Blitzkrieg. Reinhardt watches the driver, Corporal Sam Tillman, handle the jeep with one hand, the other casually resting on the wheel like he's cruising through his hometown. Mud splashes up but never clings. The tires bite in and spit it out like the terrain is nothing. How many of these do you have? Reinhardt finally asks, unable to contain it. Tillman shrugs. Hard to say, a few 100,000 maybe, new ones arrive every week. The words hit harder than the capture. A few 100,000. Reinhardt feels a sudden coldness in his chest. Germany celebrates building a few tanks, a few trucks, always few. That word few has defined the war for them. Always short, always rationed, always straining. But for the Americans, Vehicles seem to materialize out of thin air. The convoy passes another column, endless lines of Shermans, half-tracks, fuel trucks, repair units, all moving in both directions with precise choreography. There are supply depots, temporary workshops, field kitchens, radio trucks, even mobile hospitals with Red Cross markings bright against the dust. The prisoners stare as if they've stumbled into another world. Everywhere they look, jeeps zip around like metal insects, delivering messages, towing guns, carrying officers, hauling wounded, scouting, patrolling. They move with a freedom the Wehrmacht hasn't had in years. One German private whispers, "Wir hätten nie eine Chance." We never had a chance. Reinhardt doesn't answer, he's watching something else. Up ahead, a jeep is towing a 105 howitzer. Behind it, another jeep is carrying 4 fully armed infantrymen and enough ammunition to resupply a platoon. A third jeep, loaded with radios, darts off toward a field command post so quickly that the wind slaps the prisoners' faces a second later. It's not the machines alone. It's the system, the unity, the movement. An entire army flowing forward like a river of steel and rubber. Reinhardt had once believed mobility belonged to the Germans, Panzer spearheads, rapid advances, Schwerpunkt, lightning war. But now, watching the Americans surge forward with thousands of vehicles Germany could never hope to match, he feels the foundations of that myth crumble. Tillman glances at him again. "You boys look like you've seen a ghost." Reinhardt doesn't answer, because in a way he has. They round a bend where the mud thickens again, swallowing the wheels of a captured German Kugelwagen half-sunk by the roadside. The Americans barely slow. The jeep bounces once, twice, and keeps going, like the earth is simply cooperating. Reinhardt's men exchange looks. Looks that say, "Our machines drown, theirs swim." And then, as the convoy crests a small rise, the scene ahead stops every German cold. A vast American supply yard, rows of vehicles stretching out farther than the morning fog will allow, stacks of crates, fuel drums, replacement parts catalogued and covered in tarps, mechanics working on jeeps that look factory new. Jeeps in front, jeeps behind, jeeps everywhere. And all Reinhardt can think is, this is just one sector, one day, one small corner of their war machine. As the convoy slows to enter the camp, an American officer approaches, clipboard in hand, shouting orders to a dozen soldiers who scatter instantly. He barely glances at the prisoners. To him, they are just another task in a long, efficient chain. To Reinhardt, this moment is a revelation. And the worst is still ahead. The jeep rolls beneath a canvas archway marked 29th Infantry Division, Forward Logistics Area. But to the captured Germans, it might as well be the gates to another reality. The moment they enter, the noise engulfs them, engines revving, wrenches clattering, soldiers shouting orders, fuel hoses hissing, typewriters snapping out reports. The whole camp pulses like a living organism, every limb moving with purpose. Reinhardt steps off the jeep, boots sinking slightly into the mud. He half expects the ground to resist, to swallow him as it did the Blitz, but the Americans have laid down crushed stone pathways, planks, even strips of perforated steel matting where the ground gets worst. Simple, brutal, effective. They planned for the mud. A sergeant waves the prisoners toward a holding tent, but no one watches them closely. Not really. There are too many vehicles rolling in, too many spare parts arriving, too many tasks happening at once. The war machine is simply too busy to fear a handful of captured infantry. Inside the camp, Reinhardt's eyes roam everywhere. 2 jeeps being refueled simultaneously from 5-gallon jerrycans. Ironically, an American copy of a German invention, now mass-produced by the millions. Another jeep rolls past with a fresh windshield, stamped and fitted within minutes. A third jeep gets a new starter motor installed by a mechanic who can't be older than 20, sleeves rolled up, humming a tune from back home. Reinhardt feels a knot tighten in his stomach. The Opel blits back on the road. It would take a day to pull it free and another day to repair it, maybe longer depending on parts. And Germany had no surplus. Everything was scarce, everything rationed, everything difficult. Yet here, in this single camp, he sees enough equipment to resupply an entire regiment. Private Otto Weiss, the youngest of the captured platoon, whispers, "Do they bring all this from America?" Reinhardt's silence is answer enough. A passing American lieutenant overhears and smiles. Not all of it. Some comes from Britain, some right off the beaches, some from depots you wouldn't believe. He taps the hood of a jeep as it passes by. These little fellas, they're everywhere. Army can't fight without them. The Germans watch as the jeep zips toward a signals tent, the driver weaving through mud, ruts, people, crates, never slowing, never slipping. The motion feels almost rehearsed. The Americans use this thing for everything. Messages, medics, command staff, recon, field officers, artillery spotting, towing anti-tank guns, hauling wounded, moving ammunition, even dragging stuck trucks out of ditches. Reinhardt starts counting jeeps without meaning to. 9 in the first minute. Another 6 the next. Then more, endless, streaming through the camp like veins of a giant circulatory system. His mind drifts back to something he overheard from a captured American months earlier, something he had dismissed at the time as propaganda. America doesn't have an army, the prisoner had said. It has industries wearing uniforms. Back then, Reinhardt laughed. Now he isn't laughing. A jeep pulls up beside the prisoner tent. 2 American MPs hop out, each carrying a clipboard stacked with neatly organized papers, fuel logs, personnel lists, rations tallies. Behind them, an entire row of jeeps waits like horses at a stable, each assigned to a different officer, job, or mission. Organization on this scale, Reinhardt realizes, is its own kind of weapon. American soldiers move with a casual urgency, fast but not hurried, busy but not chaotic. The camp feels like it could uproot itself and roll forward another 20 miles by midnight with barely a hitch. He tries to imagine a German unit doing the same. He can't. Then he sees something that hits him harder than the jeeps. In the far corner of the camp, a bulldozer churns through the mud, creating a new road, wide, straight, efficient. Trucks follow behind, laying gravel. Engineers set up fuel dumps, water barrels, supply racks. They're building infrastructure. Long-term infrastructure. In the middle of a war zone, Germany's army moves through conquered land. America's army transforms it. Reinhardt feels a chill that has nothing to do with the damp air. This isn't just mobility. It's momentum. And momentum wins wars. But the realization isn't complete yet, not until one final moment, waiting just around the corner of the camp, where the Americans reveal something even more shocking. A sharp whistle cuts through the camp. Reinhardt and his men turn to see a group of American engineers gathering near a shallow, mud-choked ravine on the camp's edge. Several jeeps idle nearby, lined up like they're preparing for a race. A captain with mud-stained boots stands in front of them, shouting instructions. Corporal Tillman, still the man who captured them, walks by and nods toward the scene. "You'll wanna watch this." The prisoners drift closer, curiosity pulling them forward. 2 German mechanics among the group, men who once kept panzers running through the Russian mud, lean in, eyes narrowing. They understand machines. They understand terrain. They understand impossibility. And what they're seeing should be impossible. The captain raises a hand. "All right, boys, show the new replacements what these things can do." A sergeant guns the throttle. The jeep leaps forward. It hits the ravine. Mud splashes like a wave. The jeep slams down, front wheels disappearing into the muck. For a heartbeat, Even the Americans watching hold their breath. Then, the engine growls, the tires bite, and the Jeep climbs the opposite side like a mountain goat, bursting out onto firm ground in a spray of mud and engine roar. The Germans blink. Another Jeep goes. Same result. Then another. Then another. 4 Jeeps through terrain that had immobilized German trucks for days. Each time, the little machine climbs free, suspension flexing, but never complaining, engine steady, tires spinning only long enough to find purchase and launch forward again. Weiss whispers, voice trembling in stunned fascination. It weighs half as much, maybe less. How? No one answers. Even Reinhardt, who once crawled a Panzer III out of a marsh near Leningrad, is speechless. The Americans aren't bragging, they aren't grandstanding. This isn't a performance. This is training. Routine training. The captain calls out to his men. Remember, if the Blitz can't cross, the Jeep can. If the Jeep can't cross, you build something so it can. As if on cue, the engineers pivot to their next task. 2 squads begin assembling a portable bridge, lightweight steel sections pulled right from the back of a truck. They lock together with a satisfying metallic snap, each piece sliding into place like a puzzle. Reinhardt's eyes widen. A bridge. A real bridge. Built from a kit in minutes. He watches, transfixed. As they lay it across a narrower part of the ravine, it's not pretty, but it's functional, ready, tested, solid. The captain waves at another Jeep. Cross it. The Jeep rolls over the improvised bridge without hesitation. The structure doesn't sag, doesn't shift. The soldiers cheer and move on to the next drill with relaxed confidence. Reinhardt exhales slowly. This isn't just mobility. This isn't just industry. This is adaptability, systemic, practiced, effortless. A German army could fight brilliantly with what little it had. But America simply redefined the battlefield to suit its needs. Behind him, one of the captured German mechanics mutters, "They fight the terrain like it's not even an enemy." Reinhardt answers quietly, "For us, the terrain has always been the enemy." The captain whistles again, signaling the end of the exercise. The Jeeps pool into a neat line, drivers hopping out, laughing, shaking mud off their uniforms. Fresh Jeeps roll in to replace them, clean, fueled, ready. Then Reinhardt notices something else. A line of brand new Jeeps, canvas covers still on, tires wrapped in shipping paper, sit on wooden pallets near a supply tent, each tagged with a date and destination. 4 arrived yesterday. 6 more today. Maury expected tomorrow. The endless river. Reinhardt swallows hard. The realization forms slowly, but once formed, it's undeniable. Even if Germany had 10 times the courage, it would never have this. This scale, this speed, this effortless abundance. This freedom from limits. The Americans don't just outnumber them. They outproduce, outrepair, outinvent, outorganize. They outmove. A Jeep backfires in the distance, soldiers laughing as they restart it. Weiss turns to Reinhardt, face pale. Herr Oberfeldwebel, if this is just their transport vehicle. He doesn't finish the thought. He doesn't have to. Because the next thing the Germans are about to see, the next reality waiting beyond this camp, will make the Jeep demonstration feel like a warm-up. A glimpse not of mobility, but of the unstoppable machine behind it. The Americans march the prisoners toward a larger tent complex at the far end of the camp, past the engineers, past the bridge builders, past the endless line of Jeeps that seem to breed out of thin air. The air grows thicker with the smell of oil, fuel, hot metal, and canvas. It's the scent of an army that never stops moving. A low hum fills the distance, not engines this time, something deeper. A vibration. Then the tents part, and Reinhardt sees it. A supply depot. Not a warehouse. Not a storage shed. A city built of crates, fuel drums, forklifts, repair bays, and mountains of spare parts, all arranged with mathematical precision across an open field. The scale hits him like a physical blow. Rows of engines, Jeep engines, sit in neat formation, shining like newly minted coins, gearboxes stacked like bricks, pallets of tires wrapped in protective cloth, shelves of carburetors, alternators, fuel pumps, radiators, brake assemblies, everything a mechanic could ever dream of. All labeled, all categorized, all ready. Reinhardt has spent half the war cannibalizing broken trucks to repair other broken trucks. Here, parts are so plentiful that one American sergeant actually tosses a defective starter motor aside with a casual flick, not even bothering to salvage pieces. A German corporal whispers, stunned. They throw away what we would call treasure. Machines buzz, soldiers move like ants through a hive, forklifts zip between aisles, trucks roll in with fresh shipments, trucks roll out with loaded crates bound for the front lines. It is an unbroken river of supply. Reinhardt suddenly remembers what Private Mancini said that morning. New ones arrive every week. He had assumed it was exaggeration, propaganda. Now he realizes it was an understatement. Beside him, Weiss stares at a massive board listing inbound deliveries. Jeep parts, 2,400 units. Tire SCTS, 1,200. Engine mounts, 700. Ignition kits, 1,000. And below it, a second board listing tomorrow's shipments. The numbers don't even look real. A stern American quartermaster barks orders, directing men with a confidence that borders on serene. Everything is written down, nothing guessed. Everyone knows their task. Germany likes to talk about discipline. But this is discipline powered by infinity. Reinhardt watches as a new Jeep is uncrated right there on the depot floor. A team swarms it, bolting, tightening, aligning, working from a checklist printed on a single sheet. In less than 20 minutes, the Jeep is fully assembled, fueled, and driven out of the depot with its radio operator already climbing aboard. It takes Reinhardt a moment to understand. This isn't just supply. This is manufacturing, happening right at the edge of a battlefield. It's as if the United States brought its factories with it. A sudden shout echoes from the far side of the depot. A truck squeals in, brakes screaming, covered in dust from the front lines. Soldiers unload crates labeled priority, field repair, and wheel them straight to mechanics who inspect every piece like surgeons over patient. Within minutes, new parts replace damaged ones. Machines go back into the fight. Nothing waits. Nothing rests. Reinhardt feels the weight of the realization settle like a stone in his gut. In the German army, equipment dies and becomes scrap. In the American army, equipment never dies. It is repaired, reborn, returned. A Jeep nearby sputters, coughing like it's swallowed water. An American private jumps onto the hood, pops it open, switches out a clogged fuel filter with lightning speed, slams it shut, kicks the bumper twice, and yells, "Try it!" The Jeep roars back to life. The Germans stand frozen. Not because it's miraculous, but because it's so effortless. The quartermaster turns toward the prisoners, studying them with a level, almost sympathetic gaze. "You boys used to blitzkrieg your way across Europe, huh?" No one answers. He gestures around him. "Well, this is our blitz." The words hit harder than gunfire. Reinhardt feels his mouth go dry. Because for the first time, he sees the war not as lines on a map, not as divisions and battalions, but as a brutal equation. Germany built brilliant machines. America built an ecosystem. A system so large the ground trembles beneath its weight. So redundant that breaking it is nearly impossible. So well fed that even the smallest cog, like a jeep, becomes unstoppable. Reinhardt looks at the men around him. Their faces show the same expression. Recognition, fear, resignation. This is not just a stronger opponent. This is a different kind of war. And deep down, every captured soldier knows the truth. There is no counter to this, no miracle weapon, no heroic charge. The Americans will keep coming because they can, because nothing runs out, because their war machine is bottomless. But the final blow is still waiting. Something the prisoners will witness within the hour. A sight that transforms their quiet dread into absolute certainty. The realization that Germany's defeat is no longer a possibility. It is a mathematical inevitability. The prisoners are marched past the depot and toward a long, straight road cutting through the French countryside. The rain has eased, leaving the air heavy and metallic. Tractors and bulldozers have flattened the mud here, turning the path into a hardened artery of movement. Reinhardt wonders why the Americans are bringing them this way, until he hears it. A low, growing thunder. At first it sounds like weather, then like distant artillery. Then it becomes unmistakable. Engines. Dozens, then hundreds. The prisoners crest a slight rise and freeze in place. Stretching beyond the horizon is a motorized column so vast it looks like a steel river, flowing endlessly toward the front. Rows of Sherman tanks rumble in perfect intervals, their tracks grinding the earth into submission. Behind them come half-tracks, fuel trucks, ammunition carriers, recovery vehicles, mobile workshops, medical convoys, anti-aircraft batteries, and interspersed between them, like schools of nimble fish, hundreds of jeeps darting back and forth. The sight is hypnotic, terrifying, final. A convoy like this isn't just an army advancing. It's a country arriving. Tillman steps beside them, watching the Germans stare. He doesn't smirk, doesn't gloat. His voice is quiet, almost respectful. "This is just one corps," he says. "3 divisions, maybe 4. One of the Germans sways slightly, as if dizzy. "Just 1 corps." Reinhardt tries to count vehicles, but loses track before reaching 50. The column keeps coming. Every time he thinks it's ending, another wave appears. More tanks, more trucks, more jeeps moving in wide arcs around the heavy vehicles, hopping over ruts, weaving through tight spaces, delivering orders, scouting ahead. The jeeps move like nerves carrying signals through a massive organism. A Sherman breaks formation briefly. A jeep races to its side, 2 mechanics leap out, and in less than 2 minutes the tank is repositioned and rolling again. In Germany, a tank problem can halt an entire battalion. Here, it barely slows the march. A soft-spoken American captain walks behind the prisoners, observing their faces with clinical interest. "Every vehicle you see," he says, "has a dozen more supporting it." He gestures toward the horizon. Fuel depots, ammunition trains, replacement parts, fresh units, reinforcements, all of it coming behind this, all of it endless. The words sink into the prisoners like cold water. A German NCO wipes his forehead with a trembling hand. We thought we were fighting an army." The captain shakes his head. "No, you were fighting an industry." Reinhardt feels something inside him collapse. Some final, fragile hope that the war could still be steered, redirected, salvaged. Because this procession of steel and manpower and engineering cannot be destroyed, not by courage, not by tactics, not by any miracle weapon the Reich promised in its propaganda. A German mechanic stares at the jeeps, weaving confidently through the column. "In Russia, we lost half our tracks to mud," he whispers. "Half." Reinhardt nods, voice quiet. "And here mud barely slows them. They don't fight the terrain, they erase it." A sudden roar draws every eye upward. Four P-47 Thunderbolts scream across the sky, engines howling, each one armed with bombs and machine guns powerful enough to tear apart a panzer column. They fly low, confident, unchallenged. Nobody bothers hiding. Nobody runs. To the Americans, air cover is a guarantee, not a luxury. Reinhardt closes his eyes. It all becomes clear. This is what Germany had never understood. What its officers had ignored. What its soldiers had whispered but never said aloud. America doesn't win battles. America overwhelms them. Not with genius, not with luck, but with scale so vast that resistance becomes meaningless. The column continues, and continues, and continues. Weiss turns to Reinhardt, voice hollow. Herr Oberfeldwebel, how many more armies like this do they have? Reinhardt's answer is barely audible. Too many. He doesn't mean too many to count. He means too many to fight. Beside the road, a fresh line of jeeps breaks away from the main column and veers toward the forward area, tires slicing through muddy water as if it was smoke. Those little machines, dismissed by German officers as toys, have become the perfect symbol of American strength. Simple, cheap, fast, reliable, and everywhere at once. A tool that multiplies the power of the army using it. A vehicle that makes mobility limitless. A design Germany could never match. And as Reinhardt watches the endless American column moving toward the front, one truth rings louder than the engines. Germany isn't being pushed back. It's being swallowed. A jeep rolls to a stop nearby, its driver yelling for the column to tighten gaps, his confidence effortless, his authority absolute. The Germans realize he's barely older than 20. A boy commanding a river of steel. Reinhardt exhales. He understands now, truly, painfully, that the war is no longer a contest of strategy or bravery. It's a landslide. And Germany is standing at the bottom. There is one final moment still waiting. The moment when Reinhardt and his men see not just the machines, but the men behind them. The mindset that fuels this unstoppable avalanche. A moment that will transform dread into certainty. Certainty into acceptance. And acceptance into the quiet, crushing knowledge of defeat.